तो ये है बड़ी खबर कि मुंबई पुलिस ने सारे आईपी एड्रेस निकाल लिए हैं। Here's my Arowana story. What's up guys, Abhishek here from AV Studio, and in today's video I'm going to take you through my Arowana hobby journey. But before we go ahead, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, then please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of the future episodes. Today I want to talk to you about my journey as a Arowana hobbyist. Well, while I wanted to of course share this with you so you get a bit of an insight into when did I start the Arowana hobby, what kind of Arowanas I've had, how has been my experience so far, and so on and so forth. However, besides this one point, of course, about sharing my hobby with all of you guys, I also wanted you guys to know the other reason why I thought it's necessary for me to share this detail with you. So here's an update first and then we'll get started. नमस्ते, मेरा नाम अभिषेक है और जैसे कि आपको पता है मैं आज आपको अपनी कहानी सुना रहा हूँ, जहाँ पे मैं आपको बताने वाला हूँ कि मैं कितने सालों से अरोवाना के हॉबी में हूँ और मैं क्यों हूँ और क्या क्या किया है मैंने इस हॉबी में। तो ये बताना इसलिए ज़रूरी है क्योंकि बहुत लोगों को लगता है कि मैं बहुत नया हूँ इस हॉबी में। मैं कैसे लोगों को बता सकता हूँ कि तुम ये मेडिसिन यूज़ करो, ये चीज़ यूज़ करो, इसको ऐसे यूज़ करो, उसको वैसे यूज़ करो। मैं आपको ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि 2.5 साल के एक्सपीरियंस में मैंने काफ़ी अरोवानाज रखे हुए हैं और उसके बारे में डिटेल्स खैर मेन वीडियो में तो बता ही रहा हूँ मैं, लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ उन लोगों से कि ड्यूरेशन मैटर नहीं करता है। क्या एक्सपीरियंस मैंने लिया है उस दौरान वो मैटर करता है। क्या मेरे सर के अंदर दिमाग है वो मैटर करता है। क्या मेरा एक सर्टेन IQ लेवल है वो मैटर करता है। और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मेरा एक सर्टेन IQ लेवल है और अरोवाना पालना, उसको ग्रूम करना, उसको अच्छे से रखना कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं। हाँ, उसमें मेहनत लगती है, उसमें पढ़ाई लगती है, उसमें रिसर्च लगती है, उसमें जानकारी लगती है, लेकिन रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है वो। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर कोई अपना मन लगा के वो सीखने की कोशिश करे तो बहुत ही कम समय में वो सीख सकता है प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंस से। तो इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि वो लोग जो सोचते हैं कि मुझे कुछ नहीं आता है, उनको ये बताना ज़रूरी है कि मुझे जितना आता है वो काफ़ी है। मैं आप लोगों के सामने आके ये नहीं बोलता कि मेरे वीडियोस देखो, मैं जो बोलता हूँ वही करो, ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है। मुझे जितना आता है मैं अपने वीडियोस बनाता हूँ। आपको मेरी बात सुननी है, आपको मैं जो एडवाइस देता हूँ वो लेनी है तो लीजिए, नहीं लेनी है तो मत लीजिए। इस बात का गुस्सा मत दिखाइए कि मैं कैसे बता सकता हूँ। मैं बता सकता हूँ, मैंने पढ़ाई की है, मैंने रिसर्च की है, मैंने अरोवानाज रखी हुई है, तो मैं बता सकता हूँ और मेरी एक सर्टेन IQ लेवल है। और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग हैं अरोवाना हॉबी में जिनसे तो ज़्यादा ही है मेरा IQ लेवल। ठीक है, खैर मुझे इस बात का गुस्सा आ रहा है कि ये लोगों ने अभी क्या चालू किया है कि इन लोगों ने अभी प्रोपेगेंडा चालू किया है कि अभिषेक के वीडियोस मत देखो, उसके यूट्यूब चैनल को प्रमोट मत करो, वहां मत जाओ। ये नहीं चलेगा क्योंकि तुम 4 लोगों को बंद करवा सकते हो, 40 लोगों को बंद करवा सकते हो, लेकिन लाखों लोग हैं इस दुनिया में जो मेरे चैनल को पसंद करते हैं। शायद वो आज नहीं देख रहे हैं लेकिन कल वो देखेंगे। तो ये आप लोग बंद कर दीजिए कि अभिषेक के चैनल को नहीं देखना है, ये नहीं करना है, वो नहीं करना है। आपको नहीं पसंद है तो मत देखिए, आपको ज़बरदस्ती कोई नहीं है। मेरा पैशन है, मैं वीडियोस बनाता हूँ, मैं अपलोड करता हूँ। ये यूट्यूब के कम्युनिटी गाइडलाइंस के अगेंस्ट में नहीं है, इसलिए वो अपलोडेड रहते हैं। जिनको आके देखना है वो देखें, फालतू की अफवाहें ना फैलाया करें। आप लोगों ने ऑलरेडी मेरे फेसबुक अकाउंट को डिसेबल किया हुआ है, अभी ये फालतू की अफवाहें मत फैलाया करें क्योंकि वैसे भी आप लोगों के IP एड्रेस निकल के आ चुके हैं। तो ये है बड़ी खबर कि मुंबई पुलिस ने सारे IP एड्रेस निकाल लिए हैं। अभी अगले हफ्ते वो फेसबुक को एक फॉर्मल नोटिस भेजने वाले हैं वो आईपी एड्रेसेस के साथ, ताकि फेसबुक वो सारे यूज़र नेम्स मुंबई पुलिस को दे सके, जिससे हमें पता चल सके कि कहाँ से और किसने ये अकाउंट रिपोर्ट किया है, और फेसबुक से ये रीजंस भी निकालेंगे कि क्यों रिपोर्ट किया गया है। हाँ, अगर जेन्युइन रीजन है रिपोर्ट करने का वो अलग बात है, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि कोई जेन्युइन रीजन था, क्योंकि मेरा जो अकाउंट था फेसबुक का वो कम्युनिटी गाइडलाइंस के अगेंस्ट में नहीं था। खैर, आईपी एड्रेसेस उनको मिल गए जैसे मैंने बताया, और आईपी एड्रेसेस ऑफ कोर्स वो मुझे अभी देंगे नहीं, शायद पता नहीं बाद में कभी देंगे कि नहीं, क्योंकि इट्स एन ऑनगोइंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन, तो अभी फिलहाल तो वो देंगे नहीं मुझे वो। लेकिन बहुत जल्द जैसे ही फेसबुक हमें बताती है या उन्हें बताती है तो हमको पता चल जाएगा कि कौन है ये लोग। तो मैं उन लोगों को ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि मुझे भी काफ़ी एक्सपीरियंस है, हो सकता है मुझे 10 साल का एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, लेकिन जितना है मैं लोगों की मदद करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, आप लोगों की तरह उंगली नहीं करता, ठीक है। तो आप लोग ये जो भी कर रहे हो ना, ये मेरे वीडियोस बंद कर दो देखना, मेरे वीडियोस के व्यूज़ एक्चुअली कम हो गए हैं क्योंकि ये लोग पीछे से ये सब कर रहे हैं। ये सब जो आप कर रहे हो ना, ये सब आप लोग बंद कर दो, अपने काम पे ध्यान दो। आप लोगों के पास भी हॉबी है, वो हॉबी पे ध्यान दो। आप लोग शायद एक्सपीरियंस लोग हो तो उस पर ध्यान दीजिए, मेरे चैनल पे ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत नहीं है आप लोगों को। बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो मेरे चैनल पे ध्यान देते हैं, और बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो मुझे सपोर्ट करते हैं, ठीक है। आपको नहीं करना है सपोर्ट, आप मत कीजिए। ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है कि हर कोई मुझे पसंद करे, हर कोई मेरे चैनल को सपोर्ट करे, लेकिन फालतू की अफवाह मत फैलाइए, इससे किसी को कोई फ़ायदा नहीं होने वाला है, हॉबी का ही नुकसान होने वाला है, ठीक है। तो मुझे इतना ही कहना था आज। आप ये वीडियो देखिए और उसके बाद आप लोग बताइए कि आप लोगों को कैसा लगा, आप लोगों को मेरे एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में क्या लगता है, और कमेंट सेक्शन में मुझे बताइए ये बात, फिर देखते हैं, ठीक है। और आपके सपोर्ट के लिए हमेशा धन्यवाद। Namaste. Well, so now you know the second reason as well why I wanted to share my story with you. So let's not wait further, let's get started. Well, I've been keeping freshwater fish for a very, very long time. And we'll talk about that in another video, how I started the hobby and all of those things. But let me talk about the Arowana hobby part today. I started in 2018. Somewhere in January, if I'm not wrong. So that's about 2.5 years back. And before that, I knew that Arowanas were a very expensive species of fish, and they had a microchip and all of those, but I didn't know much more than that. And I think all I knew was about silver Arowanas. I didn't really know that something called Asian existed, and my idea was silver Arowanas had chips in them and they were the expensive ones. And I think a lot of people who are into the fish hobby but not into Arowanas think the same way, because I think silvers are quite popular amongst non-Arowana keepers. So well, anyway, so I used to keep a lot of flower horns in the past, and like I said, we'll talk about that later. So I decided that let me go ahead and buy an Arowana. I walked up to a shop in Mumbai, and I knew the guy. He used to get me fish tanks and get my flower horns and all of those, and I told him that I wanted an Arowana. And then he gave me the details of, you know, Asian versus silver and all of those. So I said, okay, well then, you know, if Asian Arowanas are the ones that are sought after, let me try that out. And then he gave me 3 options. You could go for an RTG or a Highback or a Crossback. So I tried to understand the difference between the two, between RTG, Highback and Crossback. And I was a kind of person at that time who was more into, you know, don't want to go for something which is probably an entry level, also don't want to go something which is completely high end. So in my mind at that time there were 3 things: RTG, which is more of an entry level; Highback, which is like a mid range; and then the top level would be Crossbacks. Actually, that's the reality anyways. But at that time I thought, let me just go ahead and get the Highback Arowana, and that's when I got my first Arowana, and it was a Highback Arowana from Qian Hu. So have a look at this beautiful Arowana that I got first up. So this was my first Arowana, which was a Highback. And then of course, I didn't know anything about Arowanas. I had just bought it, and then on one of the days these guys came in and they wanted to change the vinyl because I wanted them to change that to a blue vinyl, and while doing that they spooked the Arowana, and the Arowana started jumping and it hit its head, and then it stopped eating. And I didn't know any better that Arowanas could actually get stressed and spooked, and they could stop eating and all of those things. I had never faced it in my flower horn or in my other fishes hobby ever in the past how many ever years I've been keeping it. So I was very surprised, and I thought, well, I don't want this fish. And I was very, I was impatient that why is he not eating? I don't want this fish. And then I suddenly started going into these Facebook groups and all of those. And in one of these groups, I met Khwaja Sheikh, and I spoke to him, and he was kind enough to say, okay, I'll replace, or rather I'll exchange your Arowana. So that's how I got my second Arowana, which was obviously an upgrade. It was a super grade premium high gold crossback from Qian Hu, and it was a beautiful fish, and here's a video of that fish. So that was one of my prized possessions. I was really, really happy with that fish. It was a beautiful fish. Was relatively quite interactive compared to the first one. It ate pellets. It was eating. It didn't have any trouble, and I was very happy. And I said, well, I got my fish, and then let's see how the hobby goes. And then one fine day when I was at work, I got a call from home saying it was no more. And I had posted a comment as well, or rather I had put a post as well in one of the groups saying that my super great premium high gold crossback is no more. That was the first shocker. It was a relatively expensive fish at that time, and of course, while the cost did matter, but at the same time I had kind of connected with the fish well, though it was there only for a month and a half with me, but I had connected really well with the fish, and it was quite shocking and saddening that I had to lose the fish. And then after that, we had to check the water parameters and all of that. And during that time, somebody in the hobby told me that Arowanas from a farm called Unique Aro in Malaysia are really, really good. And then I reached out to Khwaja Sheikh again. I told him, can you get me something from Unique Aro? And then surprisingly, he was able to get me a 24K crossback from Unique Aro. And I had also put a post appreciating Khwaja Sheikh for working so hard and getting me that beautiful fish. And then I got the 24K crossback, and this is a video of that beautiful fish. So if you see, I was constantly upgrading, but I was not really keeping a fish for a very, very long time. Of course, the first one because it was stressed and I didn't know any better. The second one unfortunately didn't survive. The third one, which is the 24K crossback, also for some strange reason, I felt that, well, it's not great. It doesn't look that great, though it was fantastic. And like I said, I didn't know any better at that time. And then I spoke to Khwaja Sheikh, and then during that time, there was a big craze of golden heads. And this was, I mean, you can imagine, I started the hobby somewhere in January 2018, and in April 2018, which was just 3 or 3.5 months from the point I started Arowana, I had a KEA golden head. Khwaja Sheikh was kind enough to exchange the 24K crossback, and he got me a golden head from KEA at the time. I was super excited. It's a beautiful fish, and I didn't know that time that was going to be one of the fish that I'm going to keep for a very, 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 very long time. It was brilliant. It was a fantastic fish, except for the fact that, of course, the golden head didn't quite stay, and that's also because I didn't know any better. I probably used the wrong lights. They were too powerful, water levels, water parameters. But really, that's the time when I started taking a lot of interest in trying to understand what Arowanas are really, and started learning, reading up after the first 3 to 4 months. I had also put up not a very nice post saying that the golden head turned black and all of those things, but it was really a learning phase for me. And here is the video of the same. So as you can see, it was a beautiful, beautiful fish. And while I had the KEA golden head, I thought that I should have a super red too. And that's when Najib Sheikh stepped in and he gave me a beautiful super red from PD Chaya. And I kept it for a good 3 to 4 months, and it was a beautiful fish, was coloring up really, really well. And here's a video of the same. So if you can see, it was a lovely fish, and I was very happy. I had a KEA golden head, which had of course turned black, but I just loved the fish. The shape was beautiful, and everyone said that it's a beautiful fish, beautiful shape and all of that. And at the same time, I had a very nice super red. But somewhere I was still very impatient, and I thought that, why is it not becoming blood red and all of those things? And that was a time when there was a craze about Elkindo Reds. And like I said, I didn't know any better, and I thought Elkindo Reds would color up a lot more. It was a little bit on the expensive side, premium and all of those things, however very expensive. And that's when, while I was searching around and thinking that I should get a big red which is already colored up rather than trying to groom one, because I'm not really so much of a groomer, at least not that time. So then I spoke to Khwaja Sheikh, and he, of course, Khwaja came again to my rescue, and he exchanged the super red with an Elkindo Red. That was in November 2018. And here is the video of the same. So if you see, by November 2018, I had already gotten like 5 Arowanas. And now some of you might be wondering, well, you never kept Arowanas for long. That's true. For the first year, yes. But after that, I really got stuck into what I had. And I kept my KEA, even though it was probably no longer a golden head, but it was a beautiful fish, lovely color, lovely shape. And also the Elkindo Red. And that was for a very, very, very long time. In about May, June of 2019, we were discussing about golden heads again and trying to get something interesting, something unique, something rare. And that's when, well, of course, Khwaja Sheikh came again, and he helped me get a Singh Arowana golden head. And that was one of the most beautiful goldens that I had. And I was really settled. So if you see the video of the Singh Arowanas, beautiful fish. And I really loved this fish. And then I had an Elkindo Red and a Singh Arowana golden head. I was settled in the hobby, and I said, well, that's it. Now I know a little bit about Arowanas, and I've kept quite a few Arowanas. Now I don't need to change anymore. I don't need to do anything else. And the Singh Arowanas head was holding up really well, as you've seen a lot of videos of that. And then unfortunately, the Singh Arowana fell sick. And I couldn't save it. And I think probably to some extent my ignorance, or maybe I didn't want to use too many medications. I was a bit conservative. Whatever reasons, unfortunately it passed away. And then I was left with the Elkindo Red, which of course by then had been the fish that I had kept for the longest period of time. And then of course Najib came back, and then he spoke to me, and I had started making videos at that time on YouTube, and I was quite upset with the pricing and a lot of other things. So Najib came and said, I'll help you out, get a really good one. And that's when we got the KEA Crossbelly. And here's a video of the KEA Crossbelly. now, as you all know, I have a KEA Crossbelly and I have the Elkindo Red, which is going to complete 2 years at my place. So I can at least say that I have had quite a few Arowanas. I have had my experiences. I've learned the hard way. I'm not a noob, as a lot of you people think that he's a noob. He doesn't know anything. He's only been there for 2.5 years. Yeah, I've only been there for 2.5 years, but duration doesn't matter, because I've had different kinds of Arowanas. At the same time, I've also kept Arowanas for a long time. At least the Elkindo Red has been for almost 2 years, and at the same time I've had the KEA for almost 1.5 years, and I kept the Sing Arowana for 6 months. The Crossbelly is there, and I'm fingers crossed I don't really have to give it away, or it just stays healthy. So and I'm very, very happy with what I have, and I'm blessed that there are few people around in the hobby who've been helping me and supporting me. Of course, we spoke about Khwaja Sheikh and Najib Sheikh, who've always been helping me by giving me brilliant fish all the time. And a special mention for Shah Rizal, who had taken the time out to select the right fish for me and sent me this beautiful Crossbelly. So you've seen all the Arowanas that I've had, my Arowana story, which is 2.5 years old, a little more than 2.5 years, maybe getting close to 3 years. And that's how I've gained my experience, through my fish falling sick, usage of medication. I pick my medication very carefully. I decide to do what medication I want to. I know for the same illness there are multiple options. I decide which one I want to give, and that's how I've been in the hobby so far. And hopefully I'm flourishing. Hopefully I have learned a good amount of things that I can help you guys out with as and when you need. So that was my Arowana story. Let me know whether you liked my Arowana story. What do you want to know more about my fish keeping experience? What do you want to know more about when I started the hobby? Do you want to know all of these? Let me know in the comment section. And if you've liked this video, then please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, then please go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon. So that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Till I come back in the next one. Peace.